Welcome to RGBA, Colorful Tech News and Reviews. This is episode 48. My name is Alexandre Vallière-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tade Renard.
So I saw something interesting this week on Twitter from Anil Saibart. I don't know who the guy is, but I know I follow him on Twitter for some reason. He had an interesting stat of the estimated Apple Watch sales versus the Tesla sales. So basically Tesla's revenue in 2016 was 7 billion and Apple Watch alone was 4 billion. It gives you a sense of scale. I find a little watch that sells for like $500 or starting at $399 is almost half what Tesla makes. And in my head, Tesla is making a lot of cars, so it's interesting.
Yeah, it's probably just because that making a car is actually like harder and you sell less units. So that's why you think like they sell a car to get like thousands and thousands of dollars of revenue and profits versus an Apple Watch who's like $400, $100, or at least let's say $700 if you get all the nice ones and all the nice bands. You don't make like $5,000 of profit off of that sale. So in your head, you think it's smaller, so it must be a smaller scale. But the thing is that they sell much more Apple Watch than they sell Teslas. And it's also pretty much easier to make an Apple Watch off the supply chain than to make a Tesla from A to Z. So that's why in reality, it's much more sales for the Apple Watch. And that also speaks to say that the watch is not successful. Well, at 4 billion, I think we can say that it's probably the most successful wrist computer for the whole history we have right now. I'm pretty sure even those Casio watch with the calculator that they sold in the 80s and 90s, they did sell them for like maybe 2 decades. And I'm sure they didn't make like $4 billion out of those.
Well, they said at the keynote, the only company that sells more watches is Rolex.
In units?
Yep. In units or revenue, I always forget. And you always ask me, and you always forget also.
Because I always forget, exactly. Yeah, so it's interesting to see that like people from the outside look at this and say, oh, the Apple Watch is a failed product. That's Tim Cook's legacy. It didn't work. He's no Steve Jobs, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it all depends on what you were expecting. We don't know what Apple was expecting with this product. Maybe they said if it's a $1 billion part of a pie, like in 5 years, we'll be happy. And now it's 4. So if it's that, then what do they have to be sad or mad about? It's like perfect, even better than they expected. On the other hand, if they expected this to be a $10 billion business in 1 year, then it's unrealistic and it did not raise high as they want to. So, it all depends on your perspective. So, and we cannot say that the perspective that they give outside, like in their forecast before all their quarters result and everything, is what they were expecting inside, because that's for the analyst, that's for the business. That's numbers they have to throw just to make sure that they have investment and they don't have people running off and selling all their Apple shares. But internally, like in those little meetings with all the higher ups, like I'm pretty sure they have very different numbers in their expecting column and in the realistic column. What they have, I'm pretty sure they're happy with that.
I just checked; it's by revenue, second by revenue to Rolex.
Okay. Yeah, but this is quite a brand, so it's understanding that they are just behind this notorious brand. So we also learned a couple of days ago that Uber did one other messed up thing. It's funny how like when a tech company does something wrong, all of the following articles on that company in the following weeks start to appear, and they dig up stuff from like many years ago. And in this case, just to make a little summary, basically a couple years ago, Uber was using the Apple UUID, which is a unique identifier that is stuck with a device. That does not change. And this was a unique identifier that all iOS devices had. And you could get that device from a public API that many analytics apps used and many developers use, because that's what you had to provide in order to be added to the beta of a certain app you wanted to test. So what Uber did is basically they recorded those values with the user. So whenever you were wiping the phone or deleting the app, when you were reinstalling, they could like pre-fill the username with your email that you had on your account before. And also they use that to track devices for fraud purposes. Because sometimes in certain countries...
I think that's the word right there. It's in the article, they said track, and then people thought tracking location even while you deleted. No, it's just tracking whose phone has signed up, which phone has signed up to the service to make sure they can't start a new account and then get the free ride thing and all that.
Yeah, there's a two part to that. The first part is that this article was updated like 3 times since it was published. The first time it was saying that it was tracking people. Even when you were wiping the phone, it was still tracking you, which is not the real thing. What was happening is that it was tracking this ID so that whenever this same device was used to open a new account, they could see if it made sense, or if it's the 7th account like in a day that was open, then they would flag this as fraud, because there are some people who are actually calling themselves to get rides. So they are driving their Uber, but they are making fake calls and fake payments so that they like basically get business when they shouldn't. And for that, they use stolen credit card numbers, so that this way that they can like have more sales, more rides, and they can make more money like that. And they use 1 or 2 or 3 devices, and they toggle between all those different accounts. So that's one of the way that Uber was doing is fraud prevention, which makes sense, which is legit, which at that time, using the UID was okay. All that, I don't understand the fuss about that. I think it's because of the wording of the article, and people were led to believe that there was some jailbreaking going on, and then they were installing some malware and then following up your location wherever you were going. But that's not the case. That's one part. The second part of the article, which is the one that I understand why Tim Cook was pissed off, and he basically met with the Uber founder just to get that straightened up and say, no, you got to fix that or else you're pulled from the store. Basically, they were using private APIs, which often people do, but they get caught. But what they were doing is they were hiding those private API calls from a geofenced location around the Apple campus. So basically, if you were inside this geofence, they were not making the calls to those private APIs so that app reviews wouldn't catch them. If you're like, let's say on the East Coast and using the app, you're not in that geofenced region, so you would get all those private API calls, and the app was able to do more stuff and access some information that it was not supposed to. That's the bad part. That's the part that probably pissed off Tim Cook the most, especially because it's not like a mishap or, oops, sorry, I called the wrong function. No. You geofence the whole thing so that you can like hide your ass, and that's not right.
But the biggest problem with the article I find is at the beginning, like I think it came up on last Sunday. It was over the weekend, and it said once you delete the Uber app, they keep tracking you, and then it didn't specify like they just by tracking they mean they just take a record of this phone was associated with this account. They don't track you like physically or location wise. I think that was the biggest. That's what made it really, really go viral, if you want, or it was everywhere.
Yeah, and also the previous one of the previous articles we heard is that even though you were closing the app and not using it, it was doing something like Facebook does. Like it was either using the microphone or whatever just to be kept in memory and record your location at all times. Once again, they say that they do that for fraud prevention, so that somebody doesn't call somebody else from like the same devices again using the same accounts, so that they want to prevent that kind of fraud. But still, it's one way that they were trying to circumvent the way that the platform works, and it was against the rules. So that was the first time, and now just by saying that they track you, even though it's super vague and super like not necessarily dangerous or anything weird, because it's the second time that we heard that Uber tracks you when they should not. Now that like gets even more momentum, because like, oh, they did it once, they did it again. What's not? But that was like in 2011 or 2012. I don't know when that UID was removed. I think it was like 2013 at the latest.
I think it's 14. They say
14. Okay, so it's like at least 3 years ago, and probably even more than that. So yeah, it's a lot of oil in a fire that shouldn't be there, anyways.
I just find it sucks that Uber is under so much, like, not trouble but fire, like they say on the article. Like it's like every single week or every single month or something that comes up about ex-employees that are hating their experience at Uber, and like they treat their drivers super poorly, underpaid and everything, but the service is so good. Like,
yeah,
it's so easy and so convenient, but when I use it, I feel bad, especially since Lyft isn't available in Montreal yet. So it's like the only option, because...
Well, there's another one. Let me explain. So yeah, one of the reasons why this happens a lot with Uber is that in any tech circle, in any, even like regular news, journalism, whatever, when there's a bad company, news tend to revolve around them. And they try, like, everybody tries to get the next scoop on that story. And what has in terms of side effect is that you usually uncover other stuff that was not expecting. So let's say the very first story about Uber comes out. It's an HR disaster or PR disaster, whatever you want to call it. Basically, they don't treat their women employees properly. Okay, that's one story. Then every other journalist who did not get that story try to get something about this story. But at the same time, they track old employees. They track like one of the first employees and see if that's a problem since the beginning. And then they uncover that, oh, we learned that this happened with the CEO. Oh, this happened with the CEO. So then all these little stories get like detailed. And then 1 week, oh, journalist A releases a story. And then 3 weeks later, journalist B was working on the same story, but with different angle and some more information. And then, ooh, another HR disaster, So it keeps on adding. It just because many journalists were looking into the same subject and then discovered more news. So that's one part. And the other part is that this company is doing business in a way that it's not, let's say, trying to being polite here. Basically, they are not the kind of company that are going to follow the rules and just build this little company that is so sweet and so nice. They're going to like go over fences. They're going to like break rules. They're going to like shake ideas. And that's because what they're going after is an old way of life and a way of doing business with taxis. And that hasn't changed. And they want to like revolutionize it. And they have even bigger, grandiose plans for the future. But still, the idea that there is a structure in place and you want to break it, even if you have to go against the law, even if you have to remove your service from certain like province, states, or countries, well, I don't care. They just like go and they run and they do it. So that's the way that the company works and is set up. So that's another part. So, and circling back to your saying that there's no alternative because we don't have any Lyft in Montreal, there's a local investor who did something different. He basically he purchased a company that was a taxi company that was like being bankrupt. I think it was a Taxi Hochelaga. And he basically bought the company. He bought all the taxi licenses and he made a company called Theo Taxi. So what is it? It's the same kind of thing. You have an app. You call the taxi the same way you would call Uber. You see it on the map. You see when it's going to arrive. It picks you up and drops you off to the proper destination. You don't exchange money. Everything is like in the app. You rate your driver and vice versa. But the cool thing is that it's actually real taxi drivers that are actually employees and not freelancers. So basically they have like a hourly salary, even if they don't get any rides. They have vacations. So some of those employees are super happy because they haven't taken any vacations in like 20 years. And also it's all electric cars. So you can get anything from a little Nissan Leaf to a Tesla Model X in terms of taxi. It's all random and it's all going around Montreal downtown area. And yeah, the app is super nice. The staff is all dressed up. They have a uniform. The cars are clean. They smell good. They are very nice cars. They are super polite. They open the door for you. They take all your luggage. Like everything that was bad about taxi business, they kind of make it good, and you have the same experience as Uber. So yeah, haven't tried it yet, but looks like a very good alternative, at least for if you're in downtown. And I think they do go outside of the Montreal island, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I think they stick to the airport and all that. I think they don't go too far because it's all electric cars. I don't know how they handle their range, like for a day. Do they have to stop at lunch and plug in?
Yeah, I think they do. They have a rotating fleet, so like no single driver is assigned to a car. So whenever he's getting low on electricity, he goes to probably one of the many places where he can plug his car, and he takes another one and continue his day while it charges.
The only thing I don't like about the service is the color they put on the car. But I get it.
Come
It's
on.
very noticeable and you can see them quickly. But they're like half white and half this horrible green.
Yeah,
And
but
they're
Lyft is
not
pink, and it's not necessarily best.
Lyft. They're not all pink. They don't have to be pink.
No, but I know that they were when they started, so I don't know if
They had
ever
the
they come to
mustache
Montreal.
thing.
Yeah, like they might actually be pink when they started in Montreal if they ever do. So
But I just downloaded the Teo Taxi thing, and I'll try it next time.
yeah, I'll send you a code, and you'll get either a free ride or a cheaper ride.
Okay, and it's because Uber is so cheap, also. So I don't know what's the pricing model of this thing.
Well, they don't. They are legit. Like basically, he bought like a like closing company, so he probably got the the taxi licenses for like peanuts, and he did have to buy new cars for sure. But for these kind of things, you either take a loan, or the guy, he's an investor, so he's not like poor. I think he's one of the few billionaires in Montreal. So maybe he like paid it off by himself. But yeah, I don't think it's that expensive. It's probably in the same range as Uber. So following this scandal, we had another story about Uber buying some data to know where Lyft was actually going to pick up and drop customers. And then there's a big kerfuffle about that. And then we discovered that where does that information come? It comes from Unroll Me. Unroll Me is a service that you basically use. I think you use it as a DNS proxy, so that you set up like every email that you receive goes through their service. And if it's like spam, or if it's a mailing list that you want to unsubscribe, you can easily, with your interface, like, okay, all these 10 emails, unsubscribe me for this. So you don't have to go like per email, find the link in the footer, click it, and like do the whole process. It does it all for you. So the service was nice. It was free. So as we always say, if the service is free, you're the product. So basically, they did not charge for that service. There was not even like a premium or a pro plan or nothing. It was basically just all free. And what they do is that they gather data, and then they send it to, I don't remember the name of the company, but like in
Slice.
a group. Yeah, Slice. So they aggregate that information and sell it once again to like other companies. And in this case, Uber was interested into all of the Lyft receipt that went through their service. So even though Unroll Me did not necessarily unsubscribe people from Lyft notifications, they were processed, and it was gathering the information. And then they sent that to Slice, and Slice sells it to Uber. I don't know what the big kerfuffle about that. Like, people will have to understand that if you're not paying for a service, the service has to be making money somehow. And the easiest in big air quotes, one of the ways that you can get like money is to sell your data. Because if you have a service and you have lots of users, either you put ads, or you put some sponsorship or whatever, or you take what you have and you use it. What do you have if you have a free service? Well, you have users. What do the users have? They take actions on your service, and from those actions, you can probably like suck up all the information and bundle that in a nice little package and sell it to somebody who would be paying tens of thousands of dollars per month or per week or whatever. And data is very, very highly valuable, especially if you can provide it like regularly and very precisely. So yeah, basically that's what's happening. And you don't have to be surprised. At this point, it's happened so many times that people need to understand. Like, if there's a new service that provides you with some interesting service, you use it, fine, okay. But think for a second, how do they live? How do they make their money? Like, they have server costs, they have developers, support agents, and how do they make their money? If they don't make any money, then it's probably something fishy going on. Maybe not yet, maybe in a month, maybe in a year, maybe like one day they get acquired, perfect, fine. But for now, what's happening? So that's my 2 cents.
Facebook and Google is basically that. That's it. That's their only business model, is making money off ads that they can target to you because of all the information they have about you, because Google has your searches, your emails, and then Facebook has all your friends, all the stuff you like, and it all goes into a big machine. They crunch data and then they show you ads that are most relevant to you. And it's the only way they make money. So they get higher ad rates, higher click rates there on the ads, and everything is driven by what you do online to target you and show you what you're going to buy potentially, and that's it. So
Yeah.
it's just more information. They were plugged directly into your inbox. It's like the most intrusive way you can do it.
Yeah, but just before they had those ads, Twitter had partners. I don't know about Facebook, but I know about Twitter because I was more looking into that at this time. They basically had a partners that was sucking all of the tweets like daily, like millions, tens of millions of tweets every day, and they were crunching this data. So that's one way that they were able to sell the data when it was a free service and there were no ads. That's how in the first couple of years they were able to stay afloat, especially because TV, movies, series were quick to add hashtags, and they wanted to know like what's up with those, and like, do people click them? Do people use them? So they were services that were basically siphoning off all the tweets, and then for each of the customers, they were profiling the tweets and like funneling it down into like a very concise report that says, okay, you got, I don't know, like 500,000 people that did not use the hashtag started to use it. So you had so many people that clicked the hashtag and retweeted stuff like that. So like they were able to like crunch the numbers and get some valuable data out of that. So that was the way that Twitter worked at the beginning, and probably Facebook the same thing. And that's why their social graph is so important. That's how you siphon off all the information, and you get it in relation to the past, to your friends, to your actions, and to your followers. And if you ever used Unroll Me and you found that the service was nice, there is an alternative right now, which is called Unsubscribe Gmail. It's only for Gmail for now. Basically, it's an open source service that you can use. The links will be in the show notes, pointing to a GitHub page. It's basically like a spreadsheet kind of thing where you can scan your email, extract all of the emails, and it's going to look for the unsubscribe link for you and present it to you in form of a little spreadsheet. So you basically like row by row click the link that they have in the unsubscribe link column to unsubscribe directly. So it's not automatic. You still need to do like one action per item, but it's still like summarized and concise in a very easy to use format.
Did you ever try it, Unroll Me?
Yes, I did. So I'm part of the data. No. But I never use Lyft, so Uber doesn't have my data that way, at least.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, Lyft doesn't work here yet.
Yeah, but they probably have my data anyway because I have an account with them. So, and I did use Uber a couple of times. All right, so the next news, you kind of were surprised when you saw that in the news.
Yeah, I never saw this thing. I didn't see it.
Like, Human has been dreaming of flying cars for many years. We've seen.
I love how you're introducing this thing.
Well, how can I not do that? You know.
Go ahead, please.
And we had like dreams of like flying cars. We had dreams of rolling on the streets planes. We had like hybrids. We now have overcraft. We now have overboards. So that flying dream is still there, and there is a company that tries to actually do it. And what is it called? It's called Kitty Hawk, and it's a personal drone flying thingy that basically is about as big as a snowmobile. Yeah, so it's crazy. It works on water and on land. So basically, it's like a couple of propellers that are around you with a grill, so you don't get, I guess, pieces of rock or whatever on your face. You sit on it the same way you would sit on a Sea-Doo, on a jet ski, or on a snowmobile. And there are two big little inflated, I guess, thing on the bottom, so you can land on water and float. And that's basically a crazy project, like we saw a couple of those over the years. And this one has the particularity that Larry Page is an investor, and he's very interested in that little project. So yeah, it's quite something.
I just looked at the intro video, and it's the ad that they're doing or something is they live in on an awesome lake with mountains all around, and then she gets a call like, "Hey, come and join us on the boat," and he just fires up his drone thing and flies in the middle of the river, and then lands next to the boat.
Yeah, it's
They don't talk about cost, I think, or
no, not at this point. It's still just like a big, huge prototype. But yeah, I wish I was living in that reality where you could just be on your deck next to your lake, and then, hey, I'll go see my friends, and you just hop on this little thing, and then you start the propellers and you lift off. So it's basically like a big drone for humans. That's what it basically is. And you control it using two little levers. And there's a bunch of buttons in there. So basically, I guess it's self-stabilizing. And it kind of like controls your moves so that you don't like do like a quick turnaround and just fall on your side. It looks nice. It's very gadgety. It's very like drone-like. It doesn't look to be super fast though. So it's not the fastest thing there is, and you also have to wear like a diving suit because you'll get wet for sure. So you don't like hop on your best suit and get on this and go to the wedding you were attending. That wouldn't work. But yeah,
okay. And they're selling right now 3-year memberships for $100, and the memberships includes you're gonna get a discount, and the first dibs on when they come out, you get a $2,000 discount off the retail price, exclusive access to Kitty Hawk experiences or flight simulators, opportunity to meet the people that invented the flyer, and behind the scenes, Kitty Hawk gear. So they're selling this whole program thing.
Okay, so it's a big marketing push to basically get the word out. Get people to try it like in virtual environments and talk to your friends about it and like share their experiences, I guess. It's a smart idea. It's a smart way of trying to get some traction around this project, and not just by doing one viral video and then nobody talks about it in the next week. This membership program makes people talk about it more often and for longer periods. So it's a good idea. But that $2,000 discount, usually they give like a 5% discount on those little programs, like pre-ordering and stuff like that. So 2,000 would be 5%, and then this means that the thing would cost like 85 grand or something. I don't know. It's still very expensive though. But still, if I can try one, I will do it. It looks so fun. So yeah, after the drones, back to AI. There was a demo I saw go by on Product Hunt this week of a service that's called Lyrebird, which is an AI that basically takes a bunch of audio tracks of the voice of somebody, and then you can basically use the tool to write a text, and that computer will analyze the audio files you gave it, and it will speak with the same voice, whatever text you put it. So the very, very best and easiest way to experience this is to listen to their demo, where they have Barack Obama, who's talking with Donald Trump about the service, and then you have Hillary that jumps in the conversation and start to put her input also. So it's all fake, of course, and it's all been done by this service, which is also proud guy Montreal-based company, so from University of Montreal. So that's nice. We can see that the investment that the private sector and the research sector are doing into Montreal AI actually pays us off for some reason. We now have like real products, and for now it's still not something you can buy or subscribe to, but it's something that works. And they also have like a big page about the ethics, because in our society, voice recordings are actually taken into account into cases in front of the judges and for serious matters. So you cannot like use that service with bad ethics and bad intent and try to, I don't know, like let's say that you recorded your business partner saying that if ever he gets tired of the company, he will give it to you the whole 100% of the ownership. And then that's what you bring to court. And the guy says he never said that. But no, I have a recording. Listen. And then you can use that into a legal matter. So there's a whole big thing about ethics about that. So
yeah, because you're going to be able to put words in people's mouth.
Exactly.
Make them say exactly what you want.
Exactly. So in our society, that's a big problem, because voice recordings are as important as written recordings, signed papers, and as such. So it's something quite interesting to look at, but can have also a big impact on our society. It kind of reminds me of Adobe Audition, where let's say we record a podcast, we have like, let's say an hour of recording, and then I botched the outro. And for some reason, I don't have the time to record it, and you have the files, you're ready to do the edit, and then you said, fuck, Alex, scrap the recording at the end, so you can use Adobe Audition to actually fill in blanks with whatever text you write, and it's going to use my voice from the recording to generate the words and fill in the gaps. So you can basically re-record like a outro without me being there, just by using my voice samples. And of course, it's not perfect. You can see that there's like robotic interference, if you want, into that, but still, it's good enough that it can save your ass once in a while.
Yeah, I remember there was a radio show that they take, I think it was George W. Bush's speeches and make him say or sing songs according to like the words he said in his speeches. So I guess it was something like this. They had all his speeches, and then they catalog every word, and then they just take the words they want, the snippets of sound, and make him say, I think he was singing songs, or there was one of Barack Obama too that went pretty viral when he started, like in 2008 or something. Yeah,
the super mix of, because usually the more they have like speeches, the better it is. And with Barack, he was quite like present, I would say, and it was easy to get a lot of words out of his speeches. So people were like doing super mix, either audio or video of him for every single word, like it's a different shot, and you can see that. Of course, it's a big montage of different clips, but still, it was entertaining to see him talk about something or sing a song or do a rap song or whatever.
But if they're going at this with AI now, they're going to be able to like rank or not rank, or every word they can see which word was said before and after. So then you can start, because if you say two words in a sentence, sometimes they have like, in French, we call it like a liaison or something, or just, you don't say the word exactly the same depending on the word that's coming up.
Yeah, the previous or the next word has an impact on the word you wanted to say. And
exactly.
They are like tied together. So that's the robot part. Like usually you cannot cut something straight like that. That's why Siri, for example, the lady who did the voice, who provided her voice for Siri, she recorded like thousands and thousands of sentences, random, no sense making sentences, just so that at the end they have lots of all those liaison, and they can basically, with their algorithm, they can swap in the words to get actually Siri to say a full sentence that makes sense, using maybe 5 or 10 or 20 parts of tens of thousands of others sentences, just so that the liaison makes sense and the voice gets closer to human than it ever was before. And you're right. That's the part that's hard. That's why AI is there. The more, I guess, the more data you give it, the better the result will be eventually. That's probably what they're working right now on, because to get an AI to do something is not that hard, in big air quotes, but to get it to do it well, that's the part that's hard. So you can get there like 75% quite easily, but that last 25% will take probably 75% of the time,
Yeah, and we're gonna get more data, and it's gonna be closer to reality. It's gonna be even freakier.
Yeah. Yeah, because right now you can listen to the little demo. The links will be in the show notes. It's interesting. It's funny, but you still can see that it's fake. But like in 5 years, in 10 years, that kind of AI will be perfect to our ears. Only a robot will be able to
Distinguish that it's
another
not actually,
AI will be able to actually tell you if it's a real or not, because it will be like down to the vibrations, the harmonics, and something that the human ear cannot differentiate, but an AI will be able to. So you'll have like CSI AI going against AI generated files.
It's gonna be like the tone between the words. Depending on the day you said it, you don't speak exactly the same, and it's gonna get super, super picky.
Yeah, exactly. Those little differences that you cannot hear. Yeah, AI world we're living in.
We're talking about AI and freaky stuff. Amazon just released what do we call it? Like a sister to the Echo, like a sibling. It's called the Echo Look. So
yeah, that is freaky.
Yeah. So it's a bit like the Alexa, which is like a cylinder tube, but now it includes a camera. And I think the main feature they say is it helps you dress up in the morning. So it's gonna tell you if your shirt and your pants match, or if your socks are cool. I don't know. So it's just gonna catalog all your dress and what do you look like, and then tell you what it looks like, tell you how you look.
Okay. There are too many things to unwrap here. First of all, they want you to put a camera in your bedroom.
Right.
That's the first part. And even though they probably don't have any bad intentions, I'm assuming that they don't, it's still a camera in your bedroom, and that thing can be hacked. It's always a matter of popularity. The more a platform is popular, the more hackers look at it, because their investment into hacking the platform will have better yield. So they now have, I don't know, let's say a number, 5 million cylinders in the homes. Fine, okay, cool. But now if they get like 2 million camera cylinders in the homes, then they say, we can listen to people, conversation, and we can see them in bedrooms. So then hackers say, okay, we now have 7 million devices, but we have a camera in their home. So that can also be more interesting. So it's another incentive for them to actually work on that platform and hack it. And also, there are some, I guess, basic logic rules in life, like don't do stuff that can put you in trouble. And I think that having a camera in your bedroom always pointing at you with probably a lens that is like maybe not 360 degrees, but probably quite a wide aperture, that can probably see you sleeping, see you dressing, undressing. Not sure that this kind of thing is something I want to roll with. So, but yeah, that's what you have. That's what happens when you have a big company that has like a tech division that made a product, and as they do and as they should do, they tell the rest of the company, here's our product, think of ways that you can use it. And the Amazon, what is it called? The fashion branch of Amazon, the one that handles all the clothes and everything, they took that and they ran with it. And what do they come up with? Is the same thing. So it's a full-featured Amazon cylinder with a camera. So
it's a hands-free camera and style assistant.
Yeah, because it can scan. You can present all your clothes to it, and then one day you say, "Okay, Alexa, what can I wear with this jeans?" And it knows your whole set of clothes, and they'll probably say like, "Oh, you know that little red shirt that you have? This one will go well with your jeans." And that's the part that's gonna come eventually, and probably faster than we thought. Like, hey, you don't have anything that's super nice with this jeans, but we do have a shirt that's in sale right now. You can buy it for $10. Do you want to buy it? I can Amazon Prime it to you like in 4 hours. Okay, good. I'll have it for tonight. Order it. Okay, it's ordered. So you see where we're going with that. It's like ease of use to order, ease of use to have an even better ad in quotes system where you can present like products to your users that are better suited to them. And how can you get better suited than know exactly what they're wearing and what they're missing in terms of accessories, in terms of clothes? If you just basically say, I've got these jeans, but I want to be like, I don't know, like cleaner tonight, like more
Dressed up.
Yeah, more dressed up. What can you suggest me? And then Alexa will give you something in return. Beautiful, nice kit that's going to cost you $200 that you probably would have never bought if you didn't have this little product.
Us tech people we cringe when we see stuff like this, but I guess I wonder what, like, in air quotes, normal people think about this, and if they just see it as something that's really convenient instead of something that's really creepy.
I've got a single sentence for you. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
The less you know, the better you are with those things.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah. But then again, it's a camera and people know what camera do. So this might be like
you see people putting like post-it notes over their laptop cameras now a lot, and we'll see.
Yeah, got a few interns at work that actually did that, and like that's what they did. So but it all started like last year with Mark Zuckerberg having one on his laptop. Yeah. And even like black tape over his mic. So that unless he plugs in something, he doesn't want you to hear or see what he does or say. And for him, I understand, because whatever he's doing on his computer is high value information. But once you get the technology to hack into people's computer, fire up their camera without them knowing, then doing it for Zuckerberg or somebody else, it's only a matter of sending it the right way. So it's still pretty rare to hear about that, but I'm sure that one day we'll hear that it's been going on for many, many years.
Yeah, I was about to say, we don't hear about, if it's happening, we won't hear about it either.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something. That's why there's so many Kickstarter projects that are actually little doors that you stick on your computer, and you can slide it open or out or close to hide the camera. And I'm pretty sure there's something similar going on with the microphone eventually. So yeah, that's another part where people do great things. So something that's a bit more joyful, let's say. We had new leaks in quotes, or mostly concept designs, if you would say. What are those?
So they're basically all the like the case leaks or whatever leaks we've had. People have been taking them and doing like they look like Apple ads basically. So trying to render the phone and what it will actually look on like white backgrounds, and it's missing the back fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, I think it was probably started before we had those leaks.
But now, this week we had new leaks saying that the iPhone 8 is not going to have the fingerprint sensor in the back. So we don't know where it's going. I don't know. It changes every week.
Yeah, we cannot say anything for sure, because it's probably very hard to get the actual fingerprint reader below a screen. You have to share the pixel, I guess. And will that region has less resolution? Instead of being retina, this little section will not be retina, maybe. It's all weird. And also, as Apple does with anything, they have a bunch of concept design like in the works at the same time. Like they have like the one with the sensor, the touch sensor in the back, those some on the Apple, some in the front, some on the side. I don't know. Like they have everything. So I don't think that we can say anything for sure for now. Other than they are trying stuff, and those cases, leaks that we saw, those renders, those spec sheets, all this is part of the big process of designing new devices. And will it be the iPhone 8, iPhone 7, the iPhone 9? We don't know. Like, they try everything, and we'll see. They'll see what sticks, and they see what's the best for us, and they're gonna present that to us eventually.
And I like the fact that the screen is going to be, well, presumably the screen is going to be like edge to edge or almost edge to edge or bezel-less or whatever you want to call it. And people are trying to like mock up what's going to be used at the bottom of the screen now. It's cool.
Yeah,
like people are putting like another dock or like a more permanent dock. And these renders here, it's the messaging app, and they have emojis. Switch to keyboard, but even though the button's right there on the left, like a little over, and then the camera, so you can take pictures from. I don't know. We'll see what they come up with that extra room.
There's some good ideas you can do with that. Like, for example, if the screen goes all the way to the edge, and you don't necessarily need to display stuff there, except probably like the background and stuff. You don't necessarily need to put like the Q letter on the rounded edge, for example, of your keyboard. But you can use that section to use it as force touch. So like when you force touch on the side of your iPhone right now, you can swipe and go from app to app. But if you had this like on this, you can just say like, if you force push on that edge, then some action could happen. Not necessarily needed to put like shortcuts like on the Galaxy Edge phones, but just like increase, if you want, the different ways of interaction that you can do. So that's a good idea for that. I guess like you probably do it like me, like you swipe from the bottom or from the top and you do a misfire once in a while. Well, maybe that edge will help into making sure that you did the right thing and that the phone registers what you tried to do, even though you're not super precise. As long as you touch the edge and you swipe, you're okay, for example. So that can go a long way into the UX of the device. But yeah, it looked good, that's for sure. Of course, hoping to have a Touch ID sensor in the front below the screen would be great. I would love the look. I would love to use it like that. Have a flat surface there. That's perfect. I am not a big fan of having it in the back below the Apple. I kind of feel that on the Pixel XL, it's perfectly placed, especially this week since I did work with my Pixel phone for a review I'm preparing. So yeah, we'll have to see. It's always hard to say before you have it in your hands how it feels, and even like all of us, I guess, found the new Touch ID button weird in last year's phone. But I wouldn't see myself using it something else. Like I tried my wife's iPhone 6S and just the clicking, it's just like, it's on my nerves. Like,
it's awful.
Why does it move?
Yeah, I know.
It's like wiggly and So yeah, it's going to be the same thing with this device. Like I'm sure that Apple will try a bunch of stuff and they will bring out the best idea. And they'll have like a big explainer during the conference of why they did not do like the competition, why they did something different, or they did like the competition but better. So we'll have to see. All right, moving on to movies. So as you might have guessed, we are a big Star Wars fan, and just want to chip in here and add a few little information. We finally have release dates for the Star Wars Episode 9. Which instead of being set for not this year's Christmas, but the one after, is going to be set to May 24th, 2019. So basically, 1 extra 5 months to wait for the last Star Wars movie of, what did you call that? Like it's a trilogy, but it's not a movie, so it's a non-anthology or something?
It's prequel, and this is, what's the opposite of prequel?
Sequel?
Yeah.
Because that's episode 9, so it's the last of the ninthology or whatever. I'm bad with words. So that's one thing. So another 5 months extra to wait. So we have...
It's 5 months less.
No, more. Because this Christmas, 2017, we have episode 8.
Right.
And then the year after... Oh no, it's there 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There's a Star Wars story in between. Sorry. Oh, it's even better. Okay, now you just brought up my happiness a little.
But I don't like the May thing. I like the December. I like Star Wars, Christmas. Yeah, I know it's just been like 2 years, but it should always be like this from now on. I don't know.
Well,
I
it's
I
been the
like it.
same. It's been the same for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It's always like December. So for me, big feature film like of the year is set in December. So yeah, okay. So it's 6 months earlier. That's good.
Yeah.
And Indiana Jones will return, as we knew for a while. We now have a date. It's July 10th, 2020. And Harrison Ford will will be. He's now 74 years old. So so in 3 years he will be 77 years old. So yeah, I really hope he's not going to be doing the same kind of stunts he was doing as a kid. I'm really hoping for a like pass the flambeau to the next generation kind of thing, so that he would play the same role that Sean Connery did in the older movies. Yeah, so 77 years old. I hope he won't do any stunts for himself because he's going to break a leg like he did with Star Wars. I hope he doesn't crash his plane again like he did during Star Wars filming. So I hope that he gets he gets wiser with the age. Well, he didn't show it yet, so hopefully now in his late 70s he will start to be wiser and calmer. Because I don't want the same thing to happen that happened with Carrie Fisher. We know she has a big role in the next movie, and she's not going to be there for it. And I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe CG, maybe half CG. Maybe they did have some shots from the first movie, well, from the latest movie that they can reuse. So yeah, I just hope that Harrison Ford will still be there, healthy, and be able to do his role properly, and like kind of put a closure on that whole big Indiana Jones series.
I have to go back and rewatch those. I haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, I introduced those to my kids, and they really, really love them.
Because there's three old ones, right? Or
yeah,
two?
Three. And then the Crystal Skull is the latest one.
Right, I didn't see that one yet.
And there was also a TV series he called Young Indiana Jones, which was not bad. When I was a teenager, I watched it on TV, and it was okay. It was like set in the Indiana Jones world, but it was like Indiana Jones when he was a kid. So, well, a teenager. So he had adventures, jumping off trains and stuff like that. So that was cool. All right, so moving on to Coffee Corner. I've got one coffee thing to discuss today. It's a surprise for you. I didn't put it in the show notes. I got my coffee order from yesterday. For those of you who are French speaking and know me for a couple of years, so I've been getting my coffee from an artisanal roaster here in Quebec. It's actually in the city of Sherbrooke, quite close to the US border. Basically, the guy, short story, he basically started to do that a couple of years ago in his garage. I think he purchased his gear from an older roaster who retired, so he had like the full kit. And then he started to do this, buy his coffee greens, and he started to roast them and then sell them mostly on the internet. He was quite like there in the social media sphere in the 2012, 13, 14 kind of years. Basically, he was very present on Facebook and Twitter, and he was liking my tweets whenever I was mentioning coffee. And eventually I bought some coffee from him. So the cool thing is that when you make your order with him, he doesn't like roast your coffee like in advance, like most company do, and put them like in kegs and like forget them on the shelf for like 2 months. If you order before 10 a.m. in the morning, he roasts them the same day and he ships them the same day or the following morning. So when you got your coffee, it's at most 2 days old. So, and super fresh. So basically, that's my go-to coffee. If you wanted to see his website, he has two names in French. It's cafe-vrac, so kind of like the bulk barn kind of thing. So bulk coffee if you want, but in English, it's called northerncoffee.ca. So northern-coffee.ca. I think he ships everywhere in Canada. I don't think he goes in the States yet, but he does Canada and has many kinds of coffee. Yeah, so he basically started to sell a new kind of coffee on his website. I'm not sure if it's his own invention or part. I think it's more of a partnership. It's called Geogene, which is basically he characterizes the coffee as having three waves. The first wave is the democratization of coffee, when like at the expense of quality, you get like big loads of productions. Like think of the McDonald's or Tim Hortons of this world. And the second wave is when people get tired of those bad quality coffee and they want to know more about where's the coffee coming from. So that's what happened when you started to have like Colombian coffee. You started to have like African blends, Hawaii Kona, and people started to know like where the coffee comes from. So it's still like mass produced, but different kinds. Whereas in the past, like in early days of coffee, you had like coffee and you have coffee that's darker. That's it. You know, you don't know where it's come from. It's probably usually like a big mix of different kinds that the company has on hand. And the third wave, which is now where we're at, and it's artisanal roasters, baristas, independent coffee shops. Like they all make their own products with some finer beans, finer types of flavors, like pretty much like wine, basically. So people know like, okay, this type of coffee tastes like this, and this one like that. And like you have like your favorite kind from cafe-vrac. So the pea berry one is your favorite. So it has like a very, very strong flavor, very berry-like flavor. So, and that's where that comes in. So Geojane basically is roasting again, but it's micro roasting. So it's basically like small quantities in high-tech roasters. Instead of being just like a dumb roaster, which is basically like a big oven, basically they have sensors and they can follow the roasting curve and not just the first crack and second crack like you usually can with regular roasters. So they kind of like follow the roasting curve, and they can adapt the temperature and the speed of the rolling barrels to fit whatever very particular end result they want to achieve. So that's a little bit more expensive than the regular products, but it's also a different tasting. And they also like specifically choose which kind of grains get into that. And it's also a mix. So it's a bunch of little grains. I have it here. So I have, so basically that little card that came in the packet, it basically tells you exactly where it's from. I think it's from Santa Marta, which is made by the Red Ecludiera Co-op, with the co-op that grows the coffee. It's from Colombia, and I'm not sure about the rest because the handwriting is not so good, but it tastes like mandarin, red fruits, and caramel. So that's what they say. And they also give you a little progress bar of acidity, bitterness, sugar, and how strong the body is. And I'll take a picture and I'll put it in the show notes. It also has a little index card of what temperature water, what quantity of grains, and how many quantity of water you have to put to do like a filter coffee with it. So it's kind of like they said, like it's the third wave. So you know where the grains are from, you know what their flavors are, and you know how to basically like prepare them in the best way. Yeah. So I also got my regular pea berry coffee like you do. It's also my favorite from them. And I also got some decaf from my sister, who recently had a baby. So she's mostly on decaf right now, but it's a good decaf. So anything to add about coffee while we're at it?
I don't drink enough homemade coffee anymore.
Yeah, you should drink more, man.
Yeah, drink more. No, but I was debating on maybe bringing my AeroPress back to work, but we're supposed to get a new machine, so I'll see.
Yeah, if you get the machine that you sent me, it'll be nice, but I heard there were complaints of cleanliness of using a manual espresso machine versus an automatic one, that you don't have any mess around your coffee machine.
What do you mean?
Like if your employer has a manual machine, it's always more messier because you have coffee grains all over the place and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a pain to clean up everything. So people tend not to like that in companies, because what they want is that the machine make the coffee fast so that the line doesn't get too long and people go quickly get their drinks and get away. But now if everybody starts to make their little milk, their little coffee, they make a double shot, and then they preheat the milk, and then they make their little latte art, and then they'll take like 15 minutes per person. So that'll be super big lines on the coffee machine. So that's why company usually tend to go like with those big Jura automatic machine where you only have to like clean the drip tray once in a while and throw down the grains, the the little coffee pucks once in a while, once it's full. So.
We had a manual machine at the other job and it was fine. We're a bit more at this job, but we'll see. We had two. We have two manuals right now and it works.
It works fine?
Yep.
Not too much complaining about lineups?
Nope.
Good for you. Because I know at work where I'm working right now, we tend to have we usually go there like with colleagues. So we're like maybe 2, 3, or 4 people from the same team that goes. But there's often like another team in front of us. So we can basically be like 8 to 10 people waiting in line. So people do their selection and it's done like maybe in 25 seconds. So it's quite fast. But there's still lineup. So I was thinking like if they were to replace that machine with some manual machine, then forget about this. It'll take like half an hour to get your coffee in the morning. So they could add another one though. That would be cool. So people who want quick coffee, they go there. We also have drip coffee. So if they need like something even quicker, they can use that. Otherwise, I would love to have a manual machine.
Okay, so that's it for this week. So if you want to find the show notes, you can go at rgba.fm/48. You can also follow us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. You can follow my friend Alex at Alexandre Valliere Lagacé on Twitter. And you can also follow me at Tyler Menard on Twitter. So see you next week.
See you next week.